Another Brick fan with the latest collectible minifigure series. This is the Muppets. This is set 71033. It was released in May 2022. It has 74 pieces, 12 minifigures. Each is in its own blind bag, costing $5 each, so the entire set will cost you about $60 if you get them all right on the first try. Overall, it's a really nice series. I'm a big fan of the Muppets. I remember watching the Muppet Show back in the day, which was a really fun show. The Muppet movie, I've seen several of them. The original Muppet movie, and then there have been several others since then. They're all usually pretty good. And I think these are some of the most iconic Muppets from the television series. Now, of course, the new collectible minifigure series, at least the last, I think since 2021, have been in these 12 minifigure categories. And kind of like the Looney Tunes one, I think it would have been great to have a few more people, a few more figures here. So we only got 2 band members from Dr. Teeth's band, with Animal here, right here, and then Janice, the guitarist back there. But we didn't get Dr. Teeth, for example, who was the leader of the band, and which would have been nice to have gotten him in here. I think they could have easily come up with 4 more Muppets. I really liked these series when they were about 16. I thought was just the right amount for this, but hey, we'll take as many as they'll give us. Some of the ones that I really like a lot, I like the 2 old men here in the back. That is Statler and Waldorf, or Waldorf and Statler. Those were the 2 hecklers that sat up in the balcony and always were joking about the quality of the Muppet Show. So they were a fun pair. Of course, you got the iconic Kermit and Miss Piggy there in that second row. You've got Gonzo with his chicken. Then we have Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and his assistant Beaker up there in the front. Swedish chef. I mean, every one of these characters has some good history behind them. So let's go ahead and take a close look at each of these characters. Here are our first 2 minifigures, and we see here this is Rowlf the dog, and he is a musician, so he's got this little tablet with music on it. Here's Rowlf's little music tablet that comes with, and this is just a book cover that's printed with the music. And then he also comes with this bust. So it's what I'm calling probably a Mozart or Beethoven or something. It's obviously a musician or a famous composer that Rowlf admires. So that is a little accessory that comes with him as well. Dr. Honeydew has this beaker with a kind of a pink liquid, it looks like, inside of it. So that's a nice piece to get as well. Getting a closer view of our 2 figures, you can see that Rowlf here is in this all kind of darker brown color. He's got the kind of dark nougat face. I think his eyes look like he's looking up quite a bit. So I thought that was an interesting choice, but he's got this very big nose here and his wide open mouth. The printing on him is very subtle, just a few little black squigglies there you can see. And then Dr. Honeydew is in this nice spring or lime green color. I do like his lab coat. I think it matches up quite well here with the legs. He's got the printing on the bottom of the legs indicating his shoes. His pocket here, he's got a couple of pins there in the pocket. Looks like he's wearing a vest and a tie. I do like the glasses, so that's a very nice effect. It's a very accurate representation of Dr. Honeydew. Moving around the figures, nothing very exciting here on the back, although you do see some nice texturing here on Rowlf, around how his ears are formed and then the fur on his head. And actually some arm printing here on Rowlf as well. So we're starting off good with a couple of very nice figures with good printing. Next up we have Beaker and Gonzo. Beaker is wearing a lab coat, and very similar to what we saw with Dr. Honeydew. Interesting that the lab coat is in the same color almost as Dr. Honeydew's skin. Beaker, of course, has this big mouth down here and this spiky hair. This head mold is great. And then he has this little walkie-talkie or remote control as well as one of his accessories. Gonzo, of course, is wearing a very loud shirt, loud tie. He has a chicken with him. So here's a quick look at the chicken figure that comes with Gonzo. Gonzo always seems to have chickens with him as his pets or friends, depending on how you want to look at it. But looking at Gonzo, he has this very long nose here, kind of a small hair in the back, blue hands here. The pants have some additional printing here on the front, a very nicely printed belt. Like I said, a very loud shirt, yellow with the red chili peppers on it. And then it looks like he's wearing a tie that has a bunch of fruits on it, maybe watermelon, oranges, lime, something like that. Anyway, very colorful pictures. You can see the chili pepper printing here on the side, the printing on the legs, as well as some shoe print down here on the bottom. Beaker's pretty plain, although it does have dual molded legs with a gray on the bottom there, indicating the boots or shoes that he's wearing. You definitely see how big Gonzo's nose is here on that head mold, and how Beaker's mouth is kind of open there as well. Two really fun characters. Beaker was always getting injured in the Dr. Honeydew's lab, so he was kind of the comedy relief guy. Certainly a very fun character in the television series. Let's move on to our next two figures. Next up we have our two most famous Muppets. This is Kermit the Frog and his love interest, Miss Piggy. Of course, Miss Piggy always has been much more forward about her like for Kermit than Kermit was for her, but they are a nice couple. Kermit here is modeled, I believe, after the first movie where he had the banjo, and he's got a rainbow here. Of course, the famous song that Kermit sang in the first movie was the Rainbow Connection, so here's that rainbow piece. This banjo is very nicely done as well. Similar to the guitars that we've seen in the past, but it is, of course, rounded. Miss Piggy has this 2x3 tile, which kind of looks like it's branded as a poster or maybe a magazine. You see that barcode in the corner. Maybe it's her book. I don't know, but that's the accessory that Miss Piggy comes with. The printing here for Kermit is done really well. I mean, he's very kind of a plain, not very flashy character anyway. The head mold is done very well. I like how they did the eyes with the dot and then the line, which is very consistent with how Kermit looked. That nice open mouth there. He's got the kind of that spiky collar there. I'm not exactly sure what this darker green is supposed to represent, but it looks fine here for Kermit. He's pretty much all the one color, that kind of green color. Miss Piggy's head here is done very nicely with the good pink flesh, of course. Her snout, she's got the eyeliner, the purple eyeliner here. The blue eyes, the hair, and the ears are all done very nicely. Her dress, her pink dress here, has got a lot of very sparkly elements. There's that belt with a heart on it. Looks like she's wearing long kind of opera gloves here. And of course she has some silver shoes on. So as we move around, you can see that this printing does come to the side where she's wearing maybe a bracelet here. And you see that good shaping of Kermit's head there. My mold here does have a little spot there on it where it came out of the mold. Looks like it was trimmed not too well, but that's okay. It still looks pretty good. Maybe not very noticeable on camera. Here's the back of Kermit, which looks pretty much the same as the front. Miss Piggy here has that same printing there on the back. You can see all the sparkles, the continuation of the belt. I do like how the printing on these lower arms for those gloves goes all the way around. So that was very nice. And then you see on this side, she has a different style bracelet than she did on the other. So each arm is printed differently. So there is the happy couple of Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. Next up we have Fozzie Bear, who is the stand-up comedian of the group, and Animal, who is the drummer from the house band. Of course, Fozzie has a banana, you see, holding here as one of his joke props, as well as a microphone on a stand. The drum set has this Dr. Teeth logo here, a snare drum up on the top, and then, I'm probably getting that wrong, I'm not a musician. And then the cymbal here on the side. I think this drum set looks pretty good. It only has one stud on the bottom, so it doesn't balance super well, but it stands up well enough. Animal is also using a couple of wands from Harry Potter there as his drumsticks. Like Rowlf, Fozzie doesn't have a lot of printing on him. He has a little bit of that fur indication he's in this nougat color, this darker nougat. And like Rowlf, he has some fur here indicated on his head. I like the printing there for his eyes and nose. I think are good. He's got a brown cap on. Animal's head print looks great. Great big mouth, you know, really dark red hair, the huge black eyebrows there. He's got that kind of half shirt with the flames on it, and then a torn jeans or torn pants here with a rope as a belt. Animal does have some printing here on his wrists, and then the printing from the top of his short sleeve shirt. You see that fur kind of print there on the side of Fozzie. And the back here is that scarf that Fozzie's wearing, as well as the collar there around Animal. So Animal typically was chained to his drum set, you know, to keep him out of trouble, which never really worked very well. Animal does have the dual molded legs here on the bottom as well. And then there is the other side printing there on Animal. So good accessories for Animal here, and then a very nice head mold and everything for Fozzie. Next up to a couple of my favorite characters. These were the two hecklers that sat up in the balcony. This is Waldorf here. He's got a teacup and then a sign that says Z on it, probably showing that he falls asleep a lot because the entertainment is not very good in the show. This is Statler here on the other side. He has this little laptop. So let's get these out of the way. There's that Z sign. So here's Scooter. A good callback to Scooter here on the laptop. He was, of course, Kermit's assistant, I think, or the intern there at the Muppet Show. Nice design for a laptop using this newer book piece. So our two grumpy old men here have both wearing suits, as you can see. So Waldorf here is in a dark brown suit, white shirt. He does have a three-piece suit going on. Jacket, I think he's got the vest and then the white shirt with a nice tie there. He does have a little bit of darker printing there on the base of his feet. Statler here is in a blue suit. You can see it's all blue, but he does, just under his chin here, you can just see he's wearing a lighter blue tie and a white shirt. Both these head molds are really nicely done. And then Statler, just like Waldorf, does have some black printing there on the base of his feet. No side printing for either one of these figures, but you can see that good kind of balding. Both of them have these balding heads, you know, that shiny on top and then the hair around the base there. Definitely the head molds are probably the best thing about these two figures. Here are our last two figures. This is the Swedish chef with a strawberry here, which has a little face print on it. So this is essentially a minifigure head piece with a little plant leaf there on the top. I'm going to go ahead and call this a strawberry, but it could be, you know, any other red fruit or vegetable you want. He does have a little whisk here to mix things with. Janice, of course, is the guitarist from the band. And here is her guitar, which is nicely done in this kind of nougat color as well. The chef looks great here with this big hat, chef's hat. He's wearing a blue and white striped shirt underneath his apron in white here. And then it looks like he's got some sand blue colored boots. Janice has this long blonde hair, this nice tan colored kind of cap. Notice she has this kind of very long face, and then her eyes are closed here, but she has that pink makeup and the pink lipstick. Kind of wearing this half shirt as well as kind of a three-quarter pant here, and then it looks like some silver printing around her feet. The chef also has some brown here around for his shoes. There's the nice printing for the shirt, and it looks like it's got a button collar there, or button cuff there, which is nice as well to see that printed. Of course, his tie for his apron here in the back. Both are dual molded legs, as you can see here. Janice's back is that same look for that shirt, just the pink and stripes there. It looks kind of like a tank top here if you look. Once again, the nice cuff here for our Swedish chef on his blue striped shirt. So there we have a close look at all 12 of our figures. Let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Now that we've taken a close-up look at all these characters, here they are once again. As I mentioned as we were looking at them, all of these have some very nice prints. They all have the very distinctive head molds. So I think they did a really good job on capturing these characters. And I do appreciate all of these characters being put together. I mean, I have good memories of many of these characters from the movies and the television show. So it's really great to see these characters. In order to do another series of these, they'd have to add a couple. They'd have to do some more members of the band. And they probably would end up doing some different versions of Kermit and Miss Piggy and Rowlf maybe, and Gonzo has been pretty predominant in the movies, as well as Fozzie Bear. Overall, a great series. Good to see the Muppets here in Lego form. And I'm looking forward to the next collectible minifigure series, probably going to be Series 23. Should be out sometime in September. They tend to release one of these at the beginning of the year, one in the spring, and then one in the fall. So we should see one more collectible minifigure series out here in 2022. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this minifigure series. I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to see more content. I left a link to my minifigure series review playlist, as well as the field guide for the Muppets.